All right, crypto fans, Jason, TCP SuperSystem. Welcome in to another edition of Crypto Rapid Fire. We usually do these on Friday night, but of course, last night was Halloween. So, again, we hope everyone was able to get out with your families and your kids and get some candy and have a good time. So, hope everyone ended up staying safe last night. And today's game day, so get pumped up. We're going to run through this Crypto Rapid Fire session. This is, again, where we look at just all the monitored cryptos that we have on our list. We scan through them pretty quickly, stopping where we feel like there may need to be some discussion. So again, if you want us to add any crypto that we don't get to today into that monitored list, put that down in the comments, and we will get that on the list for these Friday sessions. So apologize for this being Saturday morning, but Halloween was important. We got out with the kiddos and had a good time. So uh, again, as always, the TCP super system I found over 2 to 3 years to identify opportunity zones in cryptos and stocks. The system signals, interpretations, and my trade actions are not financial advice or recommendations to buy or sell, but we do share our insights from the system and help relay opportunity zones that we are identifying based on the system and available data. So if you like TA on cryptos and stocks, please like, share, subscribe. This is truly original content. The system is not publicly available. Can't get this anywhere else. With that, let's hit it. We're going to start with Bitcoin here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll through these pretty quick. And then a lot of these I've done recent videos on, so I may not really say a whole lot on some of these, but we'll stop here and there, especially when it comes to the X's like XRP, XDC, XLM, as well as HBAR. And then we'll just scan through the other ones. So Bitcoin, again, kind of no man's land. We've got the zones identified. We've shared that in recent videos. XRP, I want to show you XRP because we're big holders of XRP. Even though we never sell, we do identify these zones. And we said the other day, we feel like this thing could go down to 213 to 225 just based on data and what our system is telling us. And again, you can see here, we got that pump up, that retracement back to the cloud. And I will say here, the reason I feel like we're in no man's land, but this white line right here on our standard deviation methodologies, we're not going to see this thing run up until this white line gets up here in these extremes. So if that then that can happen in one single day, but until that happens, we expect to see weakness basically. And if we do see that weakness, then I think we could probably hit this opportunity zone for a second time and maybe hit a double bottom here around that 213 to 224 range. And if we have a significant drop, we're looking at about the 150, which just so happens to be about the 100-day moving average on the weekly chart. That's XRP for now. Let's keep moving here. HBAR. HBAR looks a little different. It actually saw that pump up to those resistance spots. Now we're seeing that retracement back to the top of the cloud. So this thing could come on down to about 18 and a half. And then we would be watching these other zones. But you can see the difference here on HBAR and XRP is one, HBAR already has, I think they just had an ETF go live. So that should help sustain the price levels. And our white line on the standard deviations, it's getting weaker, but it is still above this red zone. So we need that to really stay above that zone to carry these higher. If this thing penetrates down through the red zone, then this is probably going to see some weakness as well. But probably a good opportunity here to be paying attention around 18.5 cents and currently trading about 20. So pay attention to that. 1 inch here. This is again one we went over the other day when we identified these zones. Again, you can see we nailed the zone. Now we seem to be getting a little bounce here. The standard deviation again is still well below where it needs to be, but it is showing improvement. But again, it's got to penetrate that green zone and the red zone and get up here in these extremes is what we want. And again, in the previous videos, we showed you we got that level 3 diamond, which is our favorite diamond. Typically, historically, the best opportunities for our portfolio activity. But again, you can see the improvement in the hot sensor on the short term is improving. We just need that crossover to occur, and then we may be seeing some upside potential here. And again, on 1 inch, we got that upper zone identified at 26 to 27 cents. So that's basically 10 cents from here. So pretty nice opportunity here. Let's see, Ave looking pretty weak here on Ave. Cardano. Again, look at this amazing. All up in the opportunity zone around 60 cents. We literally called that out. If you go back and look in our videos, we actually literally called out 60 cents. And that's exactly where we are. Um, again, we do still see some weakness over here. Crossover to the downside on the medium term, long term high sensor. Short term on the weekly view is crossing down and actually hitting level 1. You know, all three are on the downside on the daily view charts. So this is showing some pretty good weakness here. But again, we're going to be watching this white line. As soon as it penetrates those red zones up here for a lot of these tokens, that's probably the go point for us at least. But yep, I mean honestly, for me, Cardano is 60 cents and below. I'm personally a buyer, but you do what you got to do. I'm not telling you to buy, but that's what we're doing. Arrow. Nice little pump there for Arrow. Yeah, I'll just say this. I would expect to see a retracement here back to the top of the cloud. So that would be around somewhere around 95 cents, 96 cents. But that is looking pretty decent, actually. We got the confirmation of an uptrend. Hot sensors are looking okay. So yeah, if we saw any little bit of a retracement back, then a pop, that's what I would expect to see here. So Arrow not looking too bad. Anchor and Amp, we'll skip those. API3, we can skip that. Algorand, let's stop here at Algorand and see. We don't have any leverage data on Algorand, but yeah, it's looking pretty weak here. We're still in a confirmed downtrend. We got the red cloud. Again, standard deviation lines are well below the green zone. All three hot sensors on the daily are below the midline, so still a little early for Algorand in my personal opinion. Aptos, what are we looking like here on Aptos? Yeah, I need to fix this. These green lines, the solid green lines are where we have positions, but it's not at 612. It's much lower than that. I must have moved it by accident, so I'll correct that for the next video. But I think that's in the, I want to say it's in the 480 range is where we got. I'll have to fix that, but you'll see it in the next video for sure. But look at here again. When we went over this the other day in our video, Aptos is seeing a cluster of diamonds here on the weekly, and it's red on the medium-term hot sensor. That's generally a great sign for us, especially that level 3 right here. The weekly, the daily view, the hot sensor on the short term is improving. So if we get that crossover here, you know, we may play around the top of this 295 zone. That's almost another 10% down, but again, pretty close here. So I'd be paying real close attention to this in that white line. You can see it's already penetrated back into the green zone. We want it to get above the red. So this is looking pretty interesting for Aptos here. Arbitrum, again, very similar. We got a cluster here, including a level 3 as of the current week we're on. That's fantastic. We're in the red. That's generally where we see things bottom out. We're bouncing off the opportunity zone at 28 cents. So, you know, things are improving on the hot sensors on the daily view. Again, that white line is about to penetrate the green zone, so looking really nice here. I am a buyer here, but again, not telling you to buy. But I feel pretty good about this level here for Arbitrum. Atom or Cosmos, let's see, continued weakness there. Avalanche. I'll just say this, Avalanche, at 1850 and lower, to me, it's just fantastic opportunity. You can see the zone we've identified. We're literally in the zone right now. We've been bouncing around that the last couple of days. We got the upper zone identified at almost $32. So that's approaching a double. So, again, I think if you look here 2 to 3 months from now, and I'm glad we'll have these videos to prove it, but I think we're going to see something much higher than 18. But again, That's just my opinion, what the system is telling me. I'm just giving you the interpretation, but do your own research, make your own decisions, consult an advisor. I don't provide advice, but I think 31, 32 would be a nice level. That's a big leverage liquidation zone for some shorts, so wouldn't be surprised to see that pump up there. BNB. Again, go back and look at some of our videos. They'll be in the title. We called BNB. We said 800. Like I forgot what the number was. I guess it was in the 800s at the time. We have since adjusted that to 970, 980 to about 1,000, which is the bottom of that range is right around that 100-day moving average. So kind of makes sense here. We got some weakness here on the standard deviations, so all that's kind of flowing downward. Hot sensors are actually getting weaker, not better. And on the weekly view, we're actually it's deteriorating. Meaning, well, it was at extreme levels here in the red zone. It's coming down now, and it needs to approach that midline. From that point, I would be a little more comfortable. But given this has had a nice run up, I would expect to see more weakness here. And again, we originally called out the 800 and 830 level, somewhere in that range. So we'll see how low we go. That 200-day moving average is right around 810. So just watch these levels here. These are the 100-day and the 200-day will be support here outside of that leverage zone. So BNB, caveat, we do not own any BNB. Just wanted to make sure that's out there and clear. Bonk token for you meme lovers. Look at this. Bonk has multiple level 3s here on the weekly chart. It is deteriorating in the hot sensors on the short term for the weekly view. Again, white, gray, blue, yellow, orange, red. So we're in the yellow. We start seeing orange and red there. That could be pretty interesting. On the daily view over here on the left-hand side, we're in a confirmed downtrend. We had the level 3 back here on October 10th, which is basically right where we are. Maybe a little, just a tad higher now. But again, that cloud is still red. The standard deviation methodologies, let's blow this up a little bit here. Looks like we're entering the green zone, so it is showing improvement. But again, we want to be through it. We want to be through those zones before we really start seeing that significant price action. But again, you can see things have improved on the short-term hot sensor. We haven't crossed over yet, so that crossover in the white line up here above the red zone, that's what we're looking for. But a bonk could be interesting. So watch out for that one. Centrifuge. We'll leave that one for now. Doge. All I can tell you about Doge is if you go back and look at the recent video we did, there's something like an expected 60 billion in inflows coming to the ETFs. Again, I don't really care what token you are. 60 billion won't hurt. So yeah, we seem to be bouncing right out of that opportunity zone between 17 and let's call it 18.5 cents. So watch Doge from here. Again, those ETFs can be approved at any time. Government should be coming back into office pretty soon here, so we'll see how Doge goes. But I mean, it's going to be. I would have a hard time not to think that front running the institutional flows and the ETFs would be not a smart thing to do, right? You want to be where the money is. So we'll see how much comes in there. Again, right now I don't actually own any Doge, but I'm contemplating liquidating some of my existing assets to put a small batch in there just to see if we can get any appreciation from those ETFs. But if I do that, I will bring that trade to the community. But as of right now, I do not have any Doge. Polkadot, we can leave alone. Ethereum, yeah, we can leave alone. Filecoin. Filecoin's interesting. What's funny about Filecoin is there's some articles out recently. So this is basically decentralized storage, right? And talking about how AWS and all these other competitors would destroy this token. And you can see that we got that sideways action. We had the level 3 on the daily back here on October 11th, which was a Saturday. That was right. The bottom of that candle was roughly, let's just say 151. Right now we're at 168. I mean, that's 10% right there. Now we got this little pump up. The white line is in the extremes. The orange line is approaching that green zone. That is a really good indicator. We got a crossover on the hot sensor short term, improving on the medium term, red on the long term over here on the weekly, which is generally where we see a bottom with level 3 diamonds. Let me think here a minute, because I may have to do something here. I like this. I can tell you what I would expect to see based on what the system usually does. I don't know if I'm going to buy a Filecoin yet, because there's just so much other things coming that I think would even be bigger than this. But what I would expect to see based on this system is a pump up somewhere around this 198 level, which is that 50-day moving average, or maybe any of these averages, but somewhere these averages, and then a retracement back to the top of the cloud, which at that time should be green. And then once it hits that cloud, we'll have to reevaluate. But typically, it would hit the top of the cloud, then you'll see that run up higher. That's what I would expect to see here. I see we got a bottom zone identified. We don't have an upper zone identified, so let's do that real quick while we got everyone here on the recording. We're going to go over here and go ahead and identify the zone for you. Oh, wow. There is no zone. This is interesting. So you'll notice on Filecoin, this is the leverage liquidation heat maps. We don't really see any bright colors over here on the upper side. This thing could run. Tell you what, pay attention tomorrow. Probably going to bring you a video. I just might be making a trade. We'll see. But pay attention to that one. Goldfinch, we're going to leave that for now. The graph, getting interesting. I think we can pretty much leave it for now, but notice something again. Level 2s and level 1s on the weekly, we're in the red on the medium-term hot sensor, which is pretty much near a bottom. You can see all this cluster of level 3s we had back here, which is a little bit higher than where we are now. The bottom level 3 was, I mean, essentially it was at 7 cents. We're at 6 cents and change here. So, but we do have a lower opportunity zone down here, about 5 cents. Upper target of 8.5 to 9 cents. So that's almost what was that, 50% return right there if we can hit that. But like I said, if I have graph, it's very few right now. I think I used to have graph, but we no longer really hold a substantial position there. But I do like the graph. And look here, that white line has penetrated through the green zone, so that's very positive. Most likely, if it can make it, once it gets into these extremes, that orange line should hopefully be penetrating through that green zone, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll pay attention to that, because I mean, a little move there could be a nice return. Again, there's still probably other tokens that would present much bigger ROI opportunities. But that's the graph. Helium. Here's your classic chart. Had a pump up, hit the resistance zones with a 100-day moving average. We're starting to see, well, actually it did retrace. There's your retracement right there, all the way back down to 221, which was basically the top of that cloud, and then boom, there we go. That's exactly what we call for. And look here, look at the difference. This is good, actually. This may be one of the best looking charts. White lines in the extremes, above the red zone. Key number 1. Key number 2, not only is the orange line through the green zone, it's actually through the red zone. Fantastic. The blue line is is entering the green zone, or actually has penetrated now above it, if you can see that right there. That's good stuff. That's all I can tell you. Now, notice something here. This is what I would expect to see based on the system interpretation. We had the crossover. It's getting stronger, which is good. We're only in the gray zone, so again, white, gray, blue, yellow, orange, red. You got these level 1 diamonds. That is really short-term weakness, which is why you're starting to see the sideways chop. Most likely what will happen, it'll sideways to down chop, and that cloud's going to keep moving, and it's going to meet that cloud, and then boom, off and running it goes. That's what I would expect to see based on this formation. Again, we look like we bottomed out over here on the weekly view. The medium-term hot sensor was red, perfect. Level 2 diamond, perfect. We're starting to see on the weekly that white line get up here above the red zone. So really, this may be the best looking one outside of Filecoin, or with Filecoin so far. Yeah, so that's helium. Hyperliquid, we're gonna leave it alone for now. Jupiter, we're gonna leave it alone for now. Chainlink, we'll leave it alone for now. We do have that lower zone identified about 1472 to 1521. All three hot sensors below the midline, so a little weakness here. And you can see those standard deviation lines are well down here between the green zone and those lower extremes. So yeah, a little weakness here on Chainlink. Maker, we'll leave alone for now. Confirm downtrend. Near protocol. Yeah. We'll leave it alone for now. Ondo. So here's a key thing about Ondo I do want to make sure everyone is aware of. I like Ondo. I hold Ondo. I do think there's some risk with Ondo. There are some big unlocks coming in January of 2026. So around that time, you need to be paying attention. Now, that doesn't mean it always goes down. I've seen unlocks and I've seen price just absolutely tear higher. So just because there's an unlock doesn't mean it's going to tank, but it is a risk. They're going to be diluting, increasing, the circulating supply. So just be aware of that in January. Again, you can see where we got in at 102 and it's down at 69 cents. So this, for me, it really may become a dollar cost average standpoint, or just to liquidate and move it into something I think is even better than Ondo. At least for the short term, I'm not sure yet. I gotta make my own decision. But again, anything I do, I will share with the community. I just don't think we're there yet on Ondo. You can see again, we're down here in the lower extremes. Hot sensors below the midline, only blue over on the weekly. So I mean, I still think there's room for downside pressure here. Optimism. Ooh. Mm. So this is why I think there's a general opportunity here where we might start, or we might be approaching the bottom of the crypto market, possibly, just because a lot of these tokens, if you look at these hot sensors, they're already in the red. Orange on the daily view hot sensors. That's typically where we see a bottom. Give me 1 second. But looking on the weekly, you can see this is a cluster of level 3s. So yeah, we're getting really close here. We do not have leveraged liquidation data on this one, so we can't really see where that level might be. But again, that white line is well below that green zone. Hey guys, give me 1 second. All right, we're almost done here, ladies and gentlemen. But Pith protocol, we're gonna leave alone for now. Render. I'll be honest, a friend of mine brought this to my attention the other day, and we did a video when he did that, and I did an analysis on Render, Near, and maybe one other token. I'm starting to really like Render. And you can see again, level 3 diamonds over here on the weekly, red on the medium term hot sensor, which is typically when that level 3 diamond matches up with that red zone. starts getting pretty interesting for opportunity. Again, we don't have leverage data, so we don't have any kind of zone identified. However, the level 3 diamonds are our favorite indicator. The white line here is working to penetrate into the green, so that's why I think if this trajectory continues, gets through that red zone, it could be something special here. So we'll see. And I mean, render could go from the data that's out there, and if you have AI do a bunch of analysis for you, whatever. I don't really rely a whole lot on AI, but my system really does better than that. But they're predicting like $50. I'm not predicting $50, but some of these price points out there are pretty high for render. So pay attention to that one at least. Do some research on it. Ray, getting interesting. I'm gonna leave it alone, but we do have level 3s there. Shiba Inu, for you meme coin lovers out there. We're seeing weakness there. Solana. Yep. So Solana, we're getting some choppiness here. That's why you see those multiple signals firing, those yellow labels. Those are confirmed uptrends, downtrends, uptrends. So, and that's why we don't ever really trade off the yellow labels, but it is just good to see. But look at here. White standard deviation lines are penetrating down into the extremes, so that's when we usually see a little bit of a carry downward. And again, which makes absolute sense here. We got our lower zone identified at 175 to 168, or 168 to 175, but that's about another, what, $10 to $20 maybe. So pay attention there. You can see we're in no man's land here. White hot sensors on all three. Some below the lines, one above the line. We got deteriorating hot sensors on the weekly. So that doesn't look that great for Solana right now. Even though there's ETFs coming there, I think when we see that opportunity zone, that might be a separate video, if you know what I mean. I'll bring that to you when it happens. Stacks, we will leave alone. SWE. I'll show you this one because a buddy of mine I know he's heavily into SWE. I don't have any SWE at the moment, but I can tell you it hit right out of our opportunity zone at 222. We're now trading at 235. We're starting to see, well, actually that's not quite improving yet. So all three hot sensors below the midline. That white line, again, you can see it's working higher. It's just not quite there yet. Again, we are in a confirmed downtrend, so this thing could bounce around here a little bit. We only got level 2s on the weekly, so I mean, it's probably, again, we identify these zones for a reason, but again, I think there's still some weakness to be seen here on SWE. But yeah, I think this would be a fantastic level for us to continue to evaluate. Tron, whew, lordy. That's improving, but I'm gonna leave it alone for now. Uniswap, we'll leave it alone for now. VeChain. Getting close on VeChain, but I'm gonna leave it alone for now. VeTho is this other token. World Liberty. I'll be honest, World Liberty guys, I'm kind of torn here. You know, with Congress and making laws and the Clarity Act coming and these different things that are pending, that this could impact anything related to Trump. So I don't know if, you know, but something tells me this will be big long term. But still, I know there's DATs coming or Treasury companies coming devoted strictly to World Liberty token, which is only a positive thing. And that stock, if you want to know, is this ALTS is the signal, ALTS. That is Alt 5 Sigma Corp. And you can see that thing is getting level 3 diamonds freaking everywhere. Red on the hot sensor over here, red on the long term. We're down here in the orange, just turned yellow, red on the short term. So, I mean, this screams bottom. But, again, I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm just interpreting the system here. But this looks pretty nice for at least the underlying stock to that DAT company. So, pay attention to that. Going back up to finish off the cryptos here, we're almost done. We got XDC and XLM. So XDC, we do hold XDC. Still see some weakness here, so we'll leave it alone. Stellar Lumens or XLM, we still see some weakness here, so we'll leave it alone. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the crypto rapid fire session. For technically, it should have been for 10/31, but we had Halloween last night. So again, if you like TA original content you can't get anywhere else, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. We bring some truly original content to you on the daily. Help us get that message out there. And if you have any token you want us to add to this monitored list, all you gotta do is put it in the comments. We'll add it on here. And until next time, appreciate you. We love you. Have a good one.